Hey everybody, it is Rex the dog here, and I want to talk about the Silent Hill 2 remake. Now, Silent Hill is something I'm a big fan of. The first video on this channel was me talking about the Silent Hill The Short Message, which was the Silent Hill game that came out in February. It sort of rebrought the franchise back. I've done reactions to the Silent Hill transmissions, prediction videos beforehand. I've done videos where I was talking about my first impressions, that first 11 minutes of gameplay or whatever we got from Blooper Team. I've played the game on the channel. I've replayed it myself. I'm talking about the remake here, so I played the remake Silent Hill 2 twice now, and I've digested enough that I want to sort of talk about it. My feelings going into it, my feelings going through it, and my feelings after the game. It was made by Blooper Team, of which we were very... a common sentiment among Silent Hill fans was nervous, right? Because we're taking this kind of, psychological, really sort of mood piece of a game, and you're giving it to a studio who... the game that clearly got them the job on this was a game called The Medium, which I played. I was initially very excited to start the game, because I was like, oh, whoa, this is kind of fixed camera, and it's psychological horror, and I'm collecting things, and I go to this other world, which is kind of the other world that we have in the Silent Hill games, but the game's just not very good, and it has a lot of problems with it. It has and when you get into kind of the subject matter, it's a game that deals with pedophilia and child abuse and things like that, and the way it deals with those themes is very unsensitive. It kind of gets into victim blaming, and it's oh my god, we're trusting this team with who I do think have put out good things before, Layers of Fear or whenever they're kind of doing their own thing and not given a brief by a company of Blair Witch or The Medium, which I think was funded by Sony or something. I think it's a second party game maybe, and they're making it into a show, although I think that'll never happen, but whatever. So I was kind of worried about this game and what sort of state it would emerge in. I'm happy to say that it is, it's been getting loads of praise. For me specifically, my friends have really enjoyed it as well. And then the kind of the response I'm just generally seeing in sort of the media and the public online, people seem to really, really dig it. I think it's a real potential for, we're probably going to get the in terms of the Keeley Awards, the Game Awards nominations within the next couple of weeks. It will very likely be in that Game of the Year, contention with maybe, I don't know, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Astro Bot, that. I haven't played Metaphor, but Metaphor feels like it could go in there. Dragon Age is a big game, could go in there. Who knows about things like Wukong and whatever, but it feels like it's definitely going to be in that sort of conversation, at least be up there for performances and the sound design, which is incredible. But I want to kind of talk about all that stuff today. I am so glad that it exceeded my expectations. My expectations were something mediocre. I didn't think it was going to be bad, because after we saw sort of the longer trailers and stuff, I thought, this looks functional, but I didn't think it was going to be this. We get sort of these remakes of, obviously this is capitalizing on the success which was driven by Capcom and Resident Evil. You look at something like Resident Evil 2, and that is just this amazing glossy reimagining, really high quality, really fun, just sick game, and I'd apply that same sort of thing to, Final Fantasy VII, especially Rebirth, which I honestly think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is one of the greatest games I've ever played. I didn't think we were going to get to this sort of level with this project. I thought it would just be kind of mediocre. At worst, I thought it would just be kind of boring, and but it was great, from a performance, gameplay, level design, the things they added in, the graphics, the audio design. So I kind of want to just try and again, I'm not scripted here. I'm just sort of talking off the top of my head. I want to kind of talk about some of my impressions here. I talk about some of this stuff on the streams, obviously, But if you weren't there for the streams, and you want kind of my impressions of after I've digested it, or after you've digested it, here's our kind of space to talk about it. And if you want to drop comments below, it would be cool, because as always, I want to talk about this stuff. So, the character performance, obviously, Silent Hill is like a tone piece. It's a story told through the medium of a video game, less so than it being like, oh hey, we've made a video game and let's shove a story around it. So things like character performance and things like that have always been incredibly important in Silent Hill. Silent Hill 2 has always had these kind of weird performances. I don't think they're intentional. Some people say they're intentionally weird and janky. I don't think they are, but I think because they are does really serve to the mood of the game. I'm talking about the PS2 original here, right? They are a lot more natural in this game. There was motion capture in the first game, right? But the motion capture in this one is obviously like far more sophisticated, and those performances are really coming through. Just some of the things of like James like glancing away out of shame or uneasiness. There's just a load of really good subtleties. That Luke Roberts guy who plays James, I think he was in that pirate show, that John Malkovich pirate show that was on like Showtime, Black Sails. I think he was in that. He's like a British dude, but he plays James, and he was really really good in the part. He added like these extra layers of he took a lot of things that you had to kind of like infer from subtlety and make those like more forefront in the performance in the remake, which you can argue is a bad thing, because you could say like, oh, now I don't have to look for that stuff. But I think it adds a lot bringing that to the forefront, and I think because he brings that to the forefront, he adds a lot more subtleties and things to the background. So it's really just like more and better. I thought it was really good. Especially the like emotional scenes, which are elevating like his struggles. I do understand the argument of saying like all the additional stuff that's kind of added affects sort of the overall pacing of the story and sort of detract from the overall sort of subtle psychological themes of the original game. But I don't know, man. I thought it was great. I really thought those additions to the performance and those additions of scenes and whatever, I really think they added a lot. And the original hasn't gone anywhere. Okay, it's still difficult to access, but based on what Konami have been doing the past few years with, Castlevania and moving into, the Metal Gear series now with these collections, I'm sure we'll get like a Silent Hill collection which has, 2 on that exists on like modern platforms and your Steam and stuff, so it'll sort of like exist in forever. I said that perpetuity. I've forgotten how you say that word. I'm not going to embarrass myself. Moving on. Okay, so gameplay and level design. Okay, so the shift to the over-the-shoulder perspective and modernized controls, even though it's still kind of tanky, like it is still James goes forward, but obviously with the control of the camera and whatever, it's like, it doesn't affect you really. And also the flexibility you have in like the combat, which still isn't just like, it's not like crazy combat. It's not like Devil May Cry or something, you know what I mean? The dodge mechanic, adding sort of like this new level of tension, I thought was cool. I don't know. Some of the individual encounters do kind of feel repetitive because of the game sort of being bloated outwards. I found the pacing of the game good. I didn't find the additional stuff like, problematic in terms of like, dude, this keeps going on. I thought the game was really, really well paced, and its expansion from like an 8-hour game to like a 15-hour game, or 6-hour game to a 12-hour game, depending on how sort of like familiar or you like sort of bullet through this stuff. I did something kind of get a little bit repetitive, but I don't know. I think the overall sort of like tension and like sound design stuff that's associated with like the different creatures as you're facing them, I feel it's sort of added. It was appropriate, the and the boss battles were all like amazing. Like there was never like a boss encounter in the original game which was really sort of like memorable from like an immersion, like I'm playing the game sort of perspective. But in this one, like all of them were like sick and like really well executed and added sort of like, you know, just like added just extra sort of iconic moments. There's already like, you know, really memorable sort of like scenes and imageries and stuff like that. You know, where you're against like Daddy or you're against Eddie or whatever, or even Maria. You know, guys, I think you realize this video is gonna have spoilers, right? For giving like all my like opinions on Silent Hill 2, right? I don't know. I think like the larger areas with like more to explore. You know, like Brookhaven Hospital becomes like massive, right? And it emphasizes like there's more exploration. There's like layers of puzzles added. I appreciated that. I understand some people saying like it feels it stretches the game unnecessarily and diminishes the intensity. I disagree with that. I think it's overall generally positive. I do understand the, you know, jumping to the third person is, I was saying this a lot when I was streaming because it was jumping out to me all the time, right? Is jumping to the third person and moving more like over, as in over the shoulder third person, and less of kind of like the fixed cameras. Although in 2 you could kind of, you know, there's moments you can control your camera in Silent Hill games, especially like in the town, right? But moving away from those fixed angles is like the fixed angles does like it really makes the game like, you know, like have like direction if they can like set up and like block a scene and like control and limit what you see, which adds to the tension, you know, if like I can't see the thing over there and blah 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 blah. Obviously with the third person over the shoulder you can see a lot more, but the way they kind of like structured and designed like rooms and claustrophobic corridors and pillars is like, even though you had all this camera and you could kind of look around, you still couldn't see like just over there or just over there. You couldn't see everything at once, so it still felt tense. I thought that was really well done. That was really really well done. It clearly like been thought about. It had been clearly been really 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 thought about, and I know it was sick. It was really really sick. Let's kind of maybe talk about some of those additions I sort of touched on there. Like Brookhaven was way bigger. There was extra puzzles. I knew it would be extended. I was worried about like the two apartment buildings being extended because I do find that kind of like badly paced in the original. So I was like, oh man, is this going to be like badly paced in this one as well? But no, I like, even though like that was bigger, you know, Brookhaven was bigger, like all locations were bigger with these like extra puzzles. I think it added I just think it added more to do, and like the puzzles having like some more like, you know, like linking more to the themes and all that sort of stuff. I thought like the new scenes to enrich like characters' backstories, like Angela's storyline. Although you can say they like sort of dilute the minimalist tone of the original. I don't know, man. I'm not saying this is better than the original, man. I'm not saying. I like both. I like both. And there's actually kind of a what I noticed while playing it was like every jacket you find, every dead body you find, like if you look closely, like it's James. You can't see it's James, but it's James. And so I think, especially because it's something that somebody's like derived from the photos you can piece together, and the like welcome back on the Lake Toluga or whatever it's called, like hotel. There's it says like welcome back there. There's this like it says like all these notes, you put them together, like you've been here 20 years. So it seems like James is looping this. So it actually like, I think the remake's actually like a sequel of just like Silent Hill 2 original happened, and he keeps looping round and round and round and round, and we're actually playing like another one of the loops in the remake, which is kind of cute. I like stuff like that, like when they don't actually replace the original, but they sort of like it's looping back from what previously happened. It's like a song being played over and over, kind of what they're doing with the Final Fantasy VII remake series, kind of like what they did with Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, rebuild of Evangelion. What the hell else to do? Is what the Dark Tower movies were going to be, but obviously like that didn't take off. They were like a sequel to the books. I don't know, man. I think that's cool. I think that's cool. It's just like, oh, hey, this is not a thing to replace the original. It's just like, oh, hey, here's like a modern sort of thing of the game. I know, it's cool. It's cool. Like, there's new sort of like references put in there, like the bread thing to 3, and like I felt like the stuff linking to 4 was sort of highlighted more, or maybe that's just because I've played 4 more recently. I don't know. It's just cool, man. I liked it. I liked it. Visually, the remake like shines with like really high quality textures. Like the environments were really detailed. The look, fitting. Was like it's like decrepit. It's unsettling. The iconic monsters such as like I'm gonna be a nerd and say Red Pyramid Thing. Red Pyramid Thing. Like the disturbing like the nurse mannequins updated with more like detail. I think it's cool, man. I think it's cool, and the other world looked sick. The lighting, especially in this game, was just like incredible. Whether it was like lighting sources like inside the buildings or coming in from outside, or how they did the fog. It's just like thumbs up, man. It's just thumbs up. The audio design was like the thing that like really, everything's sick, man. This is like this. This is how I felt when I played Rebirth, where it's just like all these like different moving parts are like just like sick. And it's not reaching the same heights as Rebirth to me, because Rebirth's a crazy game that like is giant and came on 2 Blu-ray discs, and you know this is like a smaller novella, you know, as opposed to that sort of like Lord of the Rings multi-book epic. But all these moving parts like so good together, man. The audio design which really stands out. Obviously Akira Yamaka, is that his name? His remake soundtrack is like amazing. It's like orchestrated and whatever. It just sounds so good. The updated audio of just like, you know, going just back to like your radio, going back to how things sound, the squishiness of the floor in gross areas. I don't know, man. It was so good. I want to play again with like really sick headphones. I will play this game a bunch of times. I will play this game a bunch of times. I do want to play it again with like really sick headphones to like amplify the fear. It's just the 2 times I've played it is I played it with my, you know, my best friend Arisu Unicorn, and I played it on stream. So the 2 times I've played it, I've played sort of like with people. I want to play again like on my own with like headphones on, and yeah, because I really think that's one of the strongest elements of the remake. Overall, like if you're not like familiar with the story of Silent Hill 2, which you know maybe I've kind of like spoiled little bits and details in this video, this is a good way to experience it. It's a really good way to experience it. If you like the game, it's not going to like destroy your previous experiences with it. Is just going to add to it. You can argue like it struggles between that balance of like nostalgia and modernization, but I think that's nitpicking. I'm just trying to like put things in there because it's not like a perfect game, but it's pretty damn good, and it's way better than really honestly we could have hoped for. It's actually just sick. But yeah, guys, Silent Hill 2. I want to do more of these videos where I'm talking to you guys, in addition to the streams, in addition to the laundry vlogs. I just want to chat with you guys. Please, if you got any thoughts on Silent Hill 2, please talk to me in the comments. I like to talk to you guys because that's kind of the MO of this channel, is to have conversations and stuff like that. But peace out, guys. You take care. Bye. Bye. Where's my stop recording button? Ah, it's there.